Joining me to talk more about this is former India cricketer, someone who has also been part of IPL franchises. And now, apart from playing and coaching, he's taken up the role as a commentator too. He's at Rajkot currently, ahead of the third one-dayer. Thank you so much for joining us on First Sports, Abhishek Nair.
Thank you, Rupa. Thank you for having me.
Now, firstly, of course, we hope you kind of got some sleep, Abhishek, because I know it's been quite an intense series so far with the travel as well.
Yeah, it has been actually. I managed to get some sleep now that I'm in Rajkot. Early morning flight, ATR into Rajkot, an hour drive from there to the hotel. So we're as tired as the players are. Even though we're just talking, it's still very tiring.
No, I can imagine it to be tiring, but ringside view of the carnage, especially when India batted, how was that like?
Well, it was terrific to be honest, because initially when we looked at the pitch, it looked like a good pitch, but did seem like it was on the slower side, not the typical indoor pitch. But we're very excited because there were so many questions in terms of how this Indian middle order is going to shape up after Mohali, and the Shreyas Iyer form, Surya Kumar Yadav, can he do it again? And just to sit there and watch everyone perform the way they did and bat the way they did with the dominance with which the Indian batters took on the Australian faster bowlers and spinners was terrific because at one point it actually felt like there was a club side bowling to the Indian batters. That's how good the Indian batters were batting in the center. So it was a terrific just being ringside and watching it was terrific and heartening. To look at India play the way they're playing right now, so close to the World Cup.
Yes, that in fact sort of leads me to the next question. There were a few concerns going into this, which you addressed in this answer. But looking at the World Cup, this batting lineup, does this look good? I mean, of course, you have Virat and Rohit also who are going to be coming in. Looking good at this point for World Cup, Abhishek?
Well, it doesn't look good. It looks great because the way the Indian team shaping up, and we spoke about the questions of Shreyas Iyer's fitness, Surya Kumar Yadav in ODI cricket, but they've answered all those questions and how. Surya Kumar Yadav going from strength to strength, and Shreyas Iyer was sheer class. Just the way he came and approached the inning. KL Rahul taking his form forward, Shubman Gill doing what now he's recognized to doing consistently. Ishan Kishan playing that cameo just tells you you've got all boxes ticked with Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma both coming in with runs behind them. It sort of puts you in that conundrum. Who do you play in the third ODI? Because you've got all these guys who are scoring runs, all these guys who are in great nick, and the difference is when you see both sides bat on the same pitch, it tells you how exciting this team is because Australia looked absolutely different from the Indian batters. Yes, I know that's foreign conditions, but most of them have played the IPL. Most of them have played cricket in India and in these conditions. So I think it's a problem of plenty for India, and things are looking good.
But the main question I know a lot, and you were asked this as well yesterday, I'm going to follow that up as well. The Indian
Yeah.
spin unit. We know how key they are in subcontinent conditions, Abhishek. A word on Ashwin first up. Has he firmly made a case to a possible World Cup inclusion?
Well, the question about Ashwin was it's interesting because it's not about the skill. It's not about whether he can perform. It's not whether we know he's a good bowler or not. He's a great bowler. The fact and the most important part here is how is he going to find a place? Because the initial squad that the Indian team announced was with Akshar Patel in it. So the only way Ashwin gets a look in if suddenly the team management feels like maybe it's not Akshar, we need their off spinner. They're going to be left-handers. We saw, David Warner go from left to right, right to left, all because of Ravichandran Ashwin. So he has that knack. He has the ability to get players to think while he thinks a lot as well. So you are sort of in this conundrum right now and saying Akshar Patel fit and raring to go. Does Ravichandran Ashwin still make the cut? Well, it's a very tough call for the Indian selectors, and they've got plenty of headaches already. One more added now. I honestly feel having an off spin in the team is terrific, but that's almost like going back on the decision you've already made with Akshar Patel. Because when the thought process of picking Akshar Patel would have been made, you would have justified it saying that we don't necessarily need that off spinner. We need a left arm spinner as a backup to Ravindra Jadeja. So it's going to be interesting whether or not the Indian team management decides to go the other way, because in terms of how Ashwin has been bowling and how he bowled in the last game as well, I think there's no question whether or not he can do a job for you.
Yes, I'm going to put you on the spot towards the end when we wrap this up, but we also want you to give us your thoughts on Jaddu. You know, he's always there, key to break partnership. He's been instrumental in India's Champions Trophy win as well. How critical is his contribution going to be at the World Cup?
He's this constant performer who goes under the radar. You're never really talking about a Ravindra Jadeja, but he's always performing for you with the bat, with the ball, playing cameos. He comes into bat at times when most people, you'll play 10 balls, 15 balls. He doesn't really get the opportunity to showcase what he can do, like he did in the Tata IPL final. With the ball, very rarely do you see him go for a 10-60, 10-65. It's always 10-35, 10-40, 10-45. He's got 1-2, the odd three wickets. So he's a constant performer. So while he goes under the radar, he's critical for India, because in those middle overs, while tightens his screw on the batters, it gives the opportunity for the other bowlers to pick wickets as well. So Ravindra Jadeja, in any conditions, not so much the Indian conditions, but more so in India, is critical to the India chances in this World Cup. Because if he's firing like he's doing right now, it just becomes very difficult for the opposition to target one single bowler, because there's no one in that bowling lineup who you can easily target. So Ravindra Jadeja, I feel the way he's going and the form he's shown, and the glimpses that we're trying to now see with his batting, is great news for India.
Yeah, and you're talking about not able to target other bowlers. One of them, of course, would be Kuldeep Yadav. You know him very well. Abhishek, both of you are part of the KKR setup. Just a word on how you've seen him sort of come back, the new and improved version that's impressed you most about him, and a few observations that you would know, having known him from up close.
Yeah. Well, I think there's been a lot of talk of the technical changes that he's made in his bowling. He was someone who, it's slightly technical, but his angular run up, he kind of changed it and straightened it up, which helped him get more momentum into his bowling delivery stride, which in turn, kind of has helped him get more speed on the ball. I feel it's been a revelation in terms of how this turnaround of Kuldeep Yadav has happened. He's obviously worked on it. He's understood that this was an area of his game that he had to get better at. And I feel when a cricketer decides to do that, and knowing Kuldeep and his work ethics, he's obviously worked towards that and become this bowler that the world now fears, because he is literally your wicket taker. He's been good enough to become your number one spinner in ODI and T20s, which tells you that he's grown leaps and bounds. And no matter where he's played, what conditions, it hasn't mattered in terms of how he's bowled. There used to be this thought process of Kuldeep Yadav being this bowler who gets wickets but goes for runs. But now he's changed that into a bowler who picks wickets and doesn't give runs as well. So he's economical and a wicket-taking option, which is why the Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja conundrum in terms of bowling together, and add an Ashwin to that, it gives you a absolutely three-dimensional bowling attack. So that's going to be interesting with Kuldeep Yadav bowling the way he is. Is India going to be thinking, Kuldeep and Jaddu are enough? Or we need an off spinner as well. And you imagine the trio on a pitch like last night, bowling together, bowling in tandem. It's going to be a nightmare for any opposition.
Well, that's what my last question is when before we wrap this up, Abhishek. Is this your trio for the World Cup? The three that you
Is this
mentioned right
mine?
now. Is this your
It
trio
would
for
be
the World Cup?
very, very, very harsh on Aksar. I would have actually, honestly, if I was asked this question, I would initially be very tempted for a Yuzvendra Chahal to be in the squad as my third spinner. But now that Yuzi obviously is not in the scheme of things or the thick of things, I believe you would need an off spinner. With a lot of teams having left-handers in the middle, you will need an off spinner who can bowl to right-handers, because we saw, Ash use the carom ball as well, the arm ball. So he has the ability to, literally go both ways with the ball. So I would be tempted, would be very, very harsh on Aksar, to have him in the squad, and be very unfortunate. But I'm not the guy making the decision, so I can have my opinion. So from my point of view, I would want Ravichandran Ashwin with the value add of his bowling. Yes, the batting is there. I feel Aksar is a, I wouldn't say a better batter, but I feel a more impactful batter in this format at that number. But if I had to go, if it had to be my way, I would tilt towards Ravichandran Ashwin.
Yes, you've been absolutely candid with that, Abhishek, as you were through the interview. Thank you so much for taking some time out. I know we've sort of cut into your
Thank
sleep,
you.
but
No problem. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you so much.
thank you, Abhishek.